Hello once again and welcome to Monaco and the PokerStars and Monte Carlo Casino EPT. It's the main event, the €5,300 buy-in MTT, which has reached day 3, which means, ladies and gentlemen, it is bubble time. 120 players remain and 11 of them will get paid, so not many eliminations to go until we start paying players. Very pleased to be joined in the booth by Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my babies.
And Benjamin Sprague.
Hello, pleasure to be here.
David Peters is at the top of the leaderboard, number 1 of the 120 players remaining. A stack of 600K, 201 big blinds. You may recognize the name of the guy who's second in chips, Paniac at the Disco, Maxim of that flavor. Nick Petrangelo is also a top 5 stack. He is going to be headlining our featured table today, and Ali Reza Fatehi, who came into play yesterday, second in chips, still in the top 10. So we are picking up the action with 75 minutes still to play on level 14. Blinds will be 1,500, 3,000. Really pleased with the lineup we've got on the main stage today. We've picked this as our feature table. I mentioned Nick Petrangelo. We have Mikita Bodziakowski, a high roller who is already a Platinum Pass winner. We have a former champion, Davide Katai, another player who made the final table here in Monte Carlo last year. And this is the one I'm particularly excited about, Andres Korn from Argentina, who is a former Poker in the Ears superfan. Tie with the queens. Re-raise. Boutros Naim from Lebanon. Jack 10 in the small.
He starts the day in very comfortable shape. I doubt will be one of the players who'll be sweating the bubble too hard right now, although seems to be sweating this Jack 10 offsuit in the small blind. Into the market goes.
And Bodziakowski folds the big blind. Action back on Gizonis.
Yeah, the match. I was playing. I was in Mexico for like 2 weeks, when vacation and playing like some days online, and I went 1 for 1.
You're not the qualifier we want to see at the table, though.
Remember, even though there's a 30-second shot clock, players also have their 30-second time bank cards.
Even my qualifier bullet. They probably don't have the rights on this one, right? I paid my own buy-in in the second one.
Wow. Gizonis responds with a 4-bet, re-raises to 45,000.
Whoops.
And this is actually a little bit awkward for Davide Katai, because despite having a really strong hand, it's a disaster if he busts here, just 7 places away from the money, 8, 9 places away from the money, excuse me. So not as an easy situation as you might assume.
So he's the effective stack here, obviously, Sprague. He's got 43 bigs behind. I was going to ask if he could legitimately flat this, but instead he responds by 5-betting all in, and it's a snap fold from Gizonis.
Yeah, I think it's a spot where Gizonis is going to apply some pressure because of the payout situation on the horizon. And his hand is very vulnerable, so I don't think you want to call that you've given up so much on ace high, king high boards. The hand is still super, super strong, of course, so he's not going to be super happy to have to be all in, but I think it's his only choice.
This is round to Andres Korn, not wearing his Everyone Loves a Chop Pot hoodie that he won on the podcast. Disappointing, but not unexpected. Opens with pocket 5s. 7,500. Round to Katai in the beg. King 7.
And has Korn out chipped. Has an okay hand. I think we'll see him defend.
You heard the pop.
Ooh.
You see us drop down to 116. Emil Patel out in 117th. 1 spot closer to the money for all the remaining players as we go heads up to the flop on the main stage. 9, 8, 8. 5 still ahead.
So this is the board the same as previously, where Korn is probably a little more incentivized to bet because he can get counterfeit a little easier on some runouts. whilst his hand is still probably good against a big blind defending range, he doesn't really want to let any free cards roll off because his hand's likely ahead but still very vulnerable. He does indeed follow up with a bet of 7,500. No spades for Kitai.
I just never want to be in a position where I want Davide Kitai to fold. I feel like he could just smell it.
Well, the cards are back in position, and the chips are in the middle.
It's just, if you can't get a guy to fold King 7, no pair, no real draw, what, you got no shot.
Oh, the board gets straightier on the turn.
And a really bad turn for Korn because so many of David Gitai's more reasonable floats improve. Queens 10s and 10-7s and Jack 10s.
And his unreasonable ones, like a 7 blank, also improve.
Just need a spade or a diamond on the river to give us our favorite kind of board. It's a straighty, flushy paired board.
And a great board for Kitai to have a little bet at because he probably calls more ace highs on the flop than Korn bets. Korn's ace highs in position might check back more often. Kitai's ace highs are almost always floating. So Kitai should have the bulk of the ace-x hands.
The bulk of the everything hands.
Yeah, and as you, he can improve in any way when you're calling with King 7. And the last thing Kitai would want really is for it to go check-check and he loses to a hand like 5s or a 9 that he can probably get to fold.
I mean, he never gives Korn the chance to check back here, does he?
I don't think so. I think if he's peeling King 7 off,
Yeah.
his intention on runouts like this is always to bluff. And bluff he does.
He's got to make this pretty big, right? Yeah.
22,500 into 34,500.
2/3 pot.
And this is the unfortunate circumstance of having a player as good as Davide Kitai in your big blind, where normally you can just bet 5s. A lot of players give up. Davide Kitai is not a man to give up very often, and I'd anticipate him winning this pot.
Sure enough, the best hand is folded, and Kitai chips up to 240k, now playing an 80 big blind stack above the tournament average, which is currently 201,000 with 116 players remaining. Ace-7 against Ace-4, trip 7s for Nick Petrangelo. He couldn't prove that deuces never loses, but he can prove that it's always coming 7.
Hey, Nicky, you think you big guy flopping trips all the time, huh? Yeah, big man, easy to win pots, flopping trips.
Seemed like quite a sizable bet coming out of Naeem from the cutoff.
At least height-wise. Several inches tall.
It was only just less than half, but Petrangelo makes the peel.
Smooth call for a smooth guy, Nicky, huh?
And a 6 on the turn improves neither player. Petrangelo doesn't need to improve, of course. His hand is now a lock. Naeem not picking up a backdoor flush draw. Is check 2 in position, check 2 in position, and again reaching for chips.
Naeem, more like naive if he thinks Nicky Petrangelo is going to fold.
Fires again, just 13,000 this time.
Not that it really matters in this spot since Nick's never folding anyway, but I think that Naeem maybe should go back and take a look at some of his gestures, the way he stacks his chips and spills them into the pot. A lot of times a flourish like that, that much theatrics is overcompensating, we'll call it. Have to pay attention to see if he makes the same moves when he's actually got it. I don't think he does.
Joe Stapleton with a first edition copy, I believe, of Mike Carro's Book of Tells.
Correct. With all the racist parts redacted.
And a raise from Petrangelo to 45,000.
Well, Naeem has just used a time bank card. He's giving this serious thought.
And is making the call with just the ace high. Presumably thinks Nick Petrangelo is going to be at it here a lot. Floating the flop, bluffing the turn. Of course, he's in for a world of trouble if he continues that line of thinking at the river and wants to make the hero call, because Nick Petrangelo is about as strong as you can get here.
125,500 in the middle. Petrangelo check called flop, check raise turn, bets big on the river.
And a reminder, this is the two of our biggest stacks, the biggest stacks at the tables going after each other.
It's just really hard to believe that the high rollers have it.
It's very optimistic to want to call with ace-4 high, though. I mean, Naeem is going to be opening some sevens himself. He, of course, has pocket deuces, pocket sixes. He has eights, nines, tens, jacks, queens, kings, aces. At this point, if he barreled ace, jack of diamonds, queen, jack of diamonds, those hands improve to a jack. So he's a lot of better bluff catchers, but he calls with the ace-4.
He does. He tries to make the hero call with ace high. He is wrong. Nick Petrangelo is going to win a huge pot and will become the table chip leader. How does Andre Latau feel about that one?
Seven! 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 Every time the 7 is coming.
So we're down to 113. That means we are one elimination away from breaking a table and going hand for hand.
Never nice. Queens versus kings, especially unkind this close to cashing the EPT main event here in Monte Carlo. But we are indeed getting closer, as Jimmy T points out, which will be not only entertaining to watch for us, but a huge relief for Ben Dinelli here on this feature. Who currently has cards, real cards. One of them's even an ace.
Clock's been paused.
You can stop stalling.
I wonder if there's been an elimination and we're down to 112, or if Toby's taking the decision to go hand for hand now.
It would be great if he named the player that caused him to come to the decision to go hand for hand early.
The following players have resulted in hand for hand being called early. Ben Dinelli, Gialuan, easy for me to say.
Should we just put dunce hats on them for good measure?
Yeah. Like when your teacher names the students that ruined your Friday pizza party. Joseph
Stapleton,
Schaller.
Joe.
It was never me. I was a gigantic kiss up.
What do you have? Yeah, don't play your cards right now.
40.
Trangelo's raised the button with 10-5 suited. Gizonis has defended, or called rather, out of the small blind with ace-10.
Uh-oh.
King 10-3.
You'd expect Gizonis' range to be slightly stronger here in the small blind. In fact, a lot stronger in the small blind than the big. And typically, broadways will be calling things like queen jacks and king queens and king jacks. So Pietrangelo erring on the side of caution with his check behind. He still is ahead of a lot of hands, but might not want to start putting more chips in the middle just yet. Likewise for Jazonis. Pot control never going to be too bad when you're out-chipped close to the money bubble, and especially not against a player as good as Nick Pietrangelo is. Pietrangelo now looking for a little bit of value on the turn.
Delayed c-bet of 9,000 into a pot of 21,000.
But Jazonis, having already checked twice, you'd imagine isn't ready to let this one go just yet.
No, second pair top kicker. Feels like he's got to call at least once.
There is the call on the turn. We will see a river. It is a repeat 3. Don't see Jazonis taking over the betting lead now. And I don't really imagine Pietrangelo looks for extra value at this river, so check the most likely. Both players quite happy to just show down. Pietrangelo will still expect to beat hands like Queen Jack or flush draw that maybe didn't want to lead the turn. Maybe an Ace Jack high more likely to check call since it has more showdown value. But Pietrangelo's hand can still be good at decent chunk. Interestingly, he also now chops with Jack 10s and Queen 10s because he'll be playing 10s, 3s, and the king kick up. But Jazonis has the ace, which will play should he decide to make this call.
So how much does Pietrangelo bet? 33, it's close to full pot.
It's actually very interesting. I wonder whether Pietrangelo is doing this to try and get his opponent off a chop, whether he's trying to fold out a Queen 10 or a Jack 10.
Based on the sizing, it feels like a watermelon bet.
It is a watermelon bet. Isn't watermelon bet just also kind of a funnier way of saying merge?
Well, it's polarizing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Interesting, a polarizing sizing in a spot where he's actually betting second pair.
Right. Sometimes a better hand will fold. Sometimes a worse hand will call. And it's not always clear which is which.
He may also be trying to get called by an ace high. I mean, when Jazonis checks twice, he is representing that he has some sort of showdown value. And with some of the draws bricking, the straight draw brick, the flush draw bricked, maybe he feels like Jazonis can hero call ace highs. Obviously, if he's not particularly happy with a 10, that's probably not true, but just thinking about what Pietrangelo might be trying to achieve here.
But if he thinks he can get lots of chops to fold,
yeah, exactly,
and occasionally can get a hero call, it makes perfect sense.
I don't know, it's like you say, he's either getting a chop to fold or he's looking for a hero call. He is going to get called, and as you see, he tables the hand as if he's pretty likely to win. Of course, we see that he isn't. I think his decision really depends on whether he thinks Jazonis is folding too much, like he's going to get him off a chop, or whether he's more likely to hero call. Try and get him to call those ace highs.
Well, let's find out why the clock has been paused and what Toby Stone, the TD, has to say to the remaining players. The clock still shows 113, so we're not on the pure bubble just yet.
Attention, deals in place in the main event. We have 113 players remaining. We've decided to go hand for hand at 113 instead of 112. So from now on, we're going to continue hand for hand.
Pocket tens for Bodziakowski.
Nine.
Starts the hand with a 36 big blind stack, opens to 9K. Table chip leader Nicky Pietrangelo's got ace queen.
120. All in.
Yep. And again, that's just not also necessarily a play that Petrangelo would make. If it wasn't the bubble, he might just elect to 3-bet. He might flat. He would take other options. He knows he's putting Makita in a tough spot. You don't want to be calling off for your tournament life when you're on the bubble, and he knows that Nick knows this. So Nick doesn't even have to have a hand as strong as ace-queen.
So like a one-legged man in a phone booth, you're leaning toward a call?
I mean, the min cash is just so important in a situation like this. And, you know, Makita has a healthy stack. It's a really tough spot.
So like a one-legged man in a laundromat, you're leaning toward a fold?
I think he's leaning towards the fold, but he hates it.
Well, he's requested more time. Remember, there is a 30-second shot clock on every decision, but if you need more thinking time, you can play these time bank cards, which extend that clock, 30 seconds per card. Twitch chat is loving you bringing out the gags from your 2010 commentary, Joe.
Yeah.
It's 8 years. It's time to recycle.
Recycle, reversion, repackage. I'm a great believer in that. Well, we have an all-in and a call at one of our outer tables where Socia Zhang is at risk in a hand against Javier Fernandez.
We have Javier and Socia. Socia is our all-in player. Javier, can we see your cards, please? Javier shows 2 aces, ace of spades and the ace of hearts, and Socia shows 2 kings.
Eesh,
King
this
of
isn't looking good for her.
diamonds and the king of spades.
Kings into aces on the bubble. Grotesque.
So once again, 2 aces, 2 kings. Socia is our all-in player with 2 kings. Let's see the flop, please. The flop is 10-3-2.
We know what she needs.
Turn card, please.
It's a king, right?
Turn card is a 10.
2 outs.
And the final card, please. Final card is a 5. We did lose a player over here, so we are 112 players remaining.
So this has been folded to Bodziakowski on the button. He's got king deuce of diamonds and lets it go. Ben Donnelly now playing 10 bigs, pocket 5s.
And I mean, unopened, you have to take the spot to shove. You have fold equity, and Nick's just going to call you with standard ranges anyways. So first, Nick has to wake up with a hand that he can call you with, and anything that's borderline, he would fold. So I know people hate being all in on the bubble, but when you still have fold equity, you got to just take the open spot. Oh!
I think that, look, Ben Donnelly's a very experienced player.
No, it was a good fold.
Hey, Nicky, you tell him what he wants to hear.
I don't know.
Again, we just double check that no other tables still have hands in progress before we flip the cards over and deal out this all-in. But just to recap, Jean-Jacques Zaitun, that guy in the grey hoodie standing up now, all in against Sam Greenwood, this year's super high roller champ here in Monte Carlo. Toby, do your thing.
If the bubble doesn't burst soon, James's kidneys might.
Okay, we're on table number 1. Holding call, we have Sam Greenwood and Jean-Jacques. And Jean-Jacques is our all-in player. Sam Greenwood shows ace of spades and the 8 of diamonds. And Jean-Jacques shows 2 jacks. So once again, Jean-Jacques is our all-in player with 2 jacks.
Nothing against iTunes, but I'm just tired of you guys talking about how meaty this bubble is. I just want it to burst.
Can we see the flop, please?
Better root for Jean-Jacques then.
He's got a fade and ace.
And the
Ace on
flop
the
is
flop.
ace 4-6. Once again, Sam does have an ace.
Zaitun asking if anyone
Turn
folded a
card,
jack.
please. Turn card is a queen. And finally, the river card, please. The river card is an ace.
That's it.
We have
Bubble
lots of players.
burst.
I'd like to congratulations, everybody. You have cashed here at EPT Monte Carlo.
There goes our bubble boy.
He took that well.
And congratulations to the remaining 111 players who have all made the money here in Monaco. Everyone is now guaranteed at least 9,400 euros. And we play on. Pocket sevens for Jazonis. He has opened under the gun to 8,500. Boutros name. Six-five off. Another painful fold for Boutros. Round to the big blind, Nick Petrangelo, who's got 8-3 of hearts, and he's defending.
Hey, Nicky. He finds a way to win this.
Ace 7-3.
Maybe not.
It really is. Always coming seven. So Petrangelo has got bottom pair, has backdoor hearts, has a lot of chips. Do you reckon we see a call here, Maria?
Yeah, I mean, if I know Petrangelo, he doesn't like to fold when he has some equity, but I think he's actually has other plans to raise.
Oh. Yes.
But this could end up working out really well for him.
Yeah, I think he knows that this hand plays a little bit better as a raise for a few reasons. If Jazonis c-bets that flop with, you know, any two overcards to the seven, which are, you know, king, queen, jack, all of those king, jack type hands, then that's usually going to fold to a check raise, and you fold out equity of two overs coming on the turn against your bottom pair. And there's not a lot of turn cards that Petrangelo would love to see if it weren't for a 3 or for an 8.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Nick.
And so I think he
It's
decided to play that hand as a check raise for those reasons.
when you improve and you lose equity.
Yeah.
Down to 3% equity. The check raise, by the way, was to 24,000, and having taken that betting lead on the flop and improving on the turn, no doubt he will follow through with another barrel, loading up with blue 5K chips and a bit of custard on the bottom.
And normally I think his plan was if he check raised that flop and he gets called and doesn't improve on the turn, he would probably just check and give up on the hand. But unfortunately, this looks like a great turn for Petrangelo, and so now he feels really happy to get Jazonis to call, because it looks like Jazonis has a lot of big aces.
And in Jazonis' position, is this a just call, or do you think now he gets a little bit frisky?
I think you have to just call. Against someone like Petrangelo, you have to give him the option to barrel on the river.
There's the call. Petrangelo eyeing his opponent's stack. The queen on the river changes nothing.
At least he didn't hit a 3.
All in.
Oh, no.
And a snap call. And a full double up for Jazonis. How about that one? Proof yet again that it is always coming 7. When we talk about platinum passes, we're talking about packages to the first ever PokerStars Players No Limit Hold'em Championship taking place in the Bahamas in January 2019. What will likely be the biggest 25K event in history. More than $8 million being added to the prize pool by PokerStars by virtue of these platinum passes, plus an extra $1 million to the eventual winner. Now, there are more than 300 platinum passes that are going to be awarded throughout 2018. Some of them being given away at live events, some of them being given away online. And if you want to find out how you could win a platinum pass, check out the details at PokerStarsLive.com.
Yeah, gotcha. 105 total.
So back to the feature table where the action's on Davide Katai, one of our former champs. He is going to raise the button with 9-6 suited. Makes it 10,500. Well, now Naeem actually has something reasonably okay-ish. Ace-5.
This is a monster for Naeem, I think.
Cool.
Yes, he's in. Bodjakovsky's in the big blind and has six deuce of clubs.
Some people play GTO. Naeem plays GTFO. Some people play GTA. James.
Hello. So 3-way to the flop. Queen 6-6.
Cooler alert.
How does this happen? All 4 6s out there. Now, 60% of the time, this could result in some singing.
Finally, a song I know.
Katai happy to continue with trips into 2 opponents, 15K into 35.5K. And now we relive the mental torture of Boutros Naeem. Boutros has folded. Bodjakovsky no doubt thinks he's winning right now.
Yeah, and sometimes players will fast play this, take a check raise line. There is a flush draw on the board. Sometimes you can under-rep your hand when you fast play
35.
this type of board texture.
Good stat, Lanky Pedro. 60% of the time, it's a chop every time. Bodjakovsky has check raised to 35,000. He has left himself 15 bigs behind. Katai just calls the raise, taking this hand to the turn. Very good chance Bodjakovsky shoves the turn. It's the 7 of diamonds. And right now, Katai's 9 kicker is playing.
All in.
There's the shove and the call. And Bodjakovsky
9.
is at risk of elimination. So those 3 outs, the deuces, are for him to win the pot outright. Obviously, there's plenty of chop outs as well. In fact, 50% of the time, this hand will result in a chop.
I'm gonna clear my throat and get ready just in case, guys.
It's an 8. It's a low card. And Katai eliminates Mikita Bodjakovsky. He cashes in 93rd place. So he got a min plus cash, 10,300.
Poker's so cruel.
Well, here is our new featured table lineup. We have a previous Monte Carlo champion, Adrian Mateos. We have Ali Reza Fatehi, and we have German high roller, Rainer Kemper. Blinds right now, 2,500, 5,000, with a 5,000 big blind ante. Kemper in the cutoff with Queen 4 of diamonds. Raises to 11,000. Shizu with King 9 of diamonds. He calls.
No, Burns not folding this hand. Whether he likes to call or 3-bet remains to be seen.
It burns, it burns.
And Ali Reza's coming along as well from the big blind. Four-way action at the feature table midway through day 3. Five, 5, 5.
Feels like Kemp's going to win this one a lot, as he's going to be the only one who has the super strong pairs in this spot. If anyone else had 10s plus, you'd imagine they'd 3-bet it. But in saying that, he might not want to fire off into 3 people.
So I'm being advised by Twitch chat, and this could be genuine advice or it could just be super hard trolling, that our Romanian friend's name is pronounced Kishu. I personally think that sounds really cute, so I'm going to go with it.
I was going to say, you know how they do things backwards, name-wise? You pronounce it backwards. Instead of Chizu, it's Kishu.
Can you explain why he's calling here, Finton?
He's got the best hand
Flush draw.
versus Kemp. It's definitely a pretty ambitious peel.
It's what I like to call a strong call.
Wow.
See? Flush draw.
Both pick up the flush draw on the turn.
The best hand you can probably hear is have something like pocket 8s, pocket 9s maybe. But Kemp can have jacks plus all the way up as far as aces, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him fire it off here.
Do you think Kishu is thinking along the same lines you are? Do you think he's really thinking what hands?
38,000.
In the same way you're coming to your conclusions. I just don't think that.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm talking from Kemp's point of view as to what
Okay,
Chisu
well,
can
yes,
have.
then Reiner can definitely be thinking along the same lines as you.
The problem is, though, some people just won't fold a full house. The old Zebo theorem back in the day, if someone has like pocket 7s, pocket 8s here, they're just not going to fold. But if you put a lot of pressure on here, it's a very tough hand to call down with. Kemp did c-bet into 3 people, continued so strength on the turn. If he calls with King 9, though, I'm done trying to guess what's going to happen on the river.
Just take the rest of the hand off. I hope he does. I love a good unknown quantity.
Kishu.
Hi, Kishu.
I mean, maybe he's got a read. He has the best hand right now. Any card above a 10, and my bet is like Kemp fires it off, though.
Ah, I was hoping the diamond comes.
I just can't see a situation where if Kemper decides to fire another barrel, if he bluffs this river, that
Nah.
Kishu is calling with king high.
Be incredible, though.
It would be incredible.
I just don't see it happening.
I'm not getting my hopes up. But maybe those 2 strong calls in a row deter Reiner from betting again.
I don't have
Can't
very
show him
high
king
hopes
high,
on
sir.
this one.
Bought himself a free showdown.
Have very high hopes.
Oh, it's the year of Romania.
That was a
Year
deep
of
breath.
Romania.
Wow.
Smoked him.
Wow, this could be trouble.
Yeah.
Hi-ya.
I was going to say flop better, Bednar, and Fateh's going to lose a chunk here. And it tends to be that when he flops hands like this, Fateh plays it pretty fast.
He do.
Luckily for him, it won't be for all of his chips, but it's still going to hurt quite a lot. Wow, that's gone for the check.
So he's playing it slow.
So uncharacteristic, but I like it. Mixing it up.
Well, I like it now because he's behind.
I don't think it matters, though. I feel like we're going to see all these chips in the middle, provided the river's not a queen.
Bednar leads turn for 30,000.
It's pretty interesting that he decides to bet pot, given that he blocks top 2 pair. But Alireza almost always has some sort of showdown value when he checks back a king-queen 8 board.
All in.
Wow.
Yep, playing it fast. Snap called by Bednar, and Alireza's drawing thin because there is only 1 8 left in the deck.
It is always coming 8.
Just one of those flops, it's just nothing you can do about it. Even if you slow play it a little bit, it's nearly always going to end up all in.
$40,500.
No one outer on the river,
Nice hand.
and Bednar doubles up, leaving Alireza Fateh with 131,000, a 26 big blind stack. We'll get some of this new featured table with the PCA 2013 main event champ Dimitar Danchev, a couple of German high rollers, Philip Grusom and Ola Shemian, plus Andre Akari from Team PokerStars Pro. We're now playing 4K, 8K with an 8K big blind ante.
See, you see this in the foreground, Finton?
Yeah, I've got 2 of them.
No, that's what a
EPT
real
trophy.
EPT trophy looks like. The small imitation trophies you have, this is what we're really chasing.
I did ask if I could trade the 2 small ones in for a big one and got shut down pretty quickly.
Joe Stapleton actually suggested sort of a melting process, and then you know, using whatever metal you have to amalgamate the 2 together and form your own real life-size trophy.
I'll think about it. They're going to look absolutely fantastically beautiful, amazing on the back of my stream, and I've got 2 of them to remind you every day that you've got none. Alongo coming in for the raise with the Jack 10 suited.
What you need to do, Sprague, is just go to like your local trophy store and just buy the most ridiculously garish trophy you can find. It just
10
have that
feet
behind
tall,
you.
yeah.
Oh, is it this live event in one, you know, the sort of K freeze out thing? Yep.
Best poker player in the world ever.
So Malogno's made it 16,000. Olashemian has a jack. Haven't seen his other hole card.
He better hope it's bigger than a 10 if he's getting involved, and he is 3-betting to 40,000 chips. So you'd imagine that it is.
Possibly a Jack 9 suited, Jack 8 suited occasionally, but more often than not going to be better than Jack 10.
Well, he's put them both on the scanner, and we still haven't caught it, so it might be a damaged card. Oh, Andre Akari wakes up with ace-queen in the small blind.
This is quite the tricky spot with ace-queen off.
Akari starts this hand with 50 big blinds, just below the average. Average stack right now is 440k.
I personally think I would probably just fold ace-queen off here.
He does.
The 3-bet versus the 16 big blind stack is just so scary given the positions that it's happened from.
That's the thing as well. I think ace-queen off can be a really reasonable 4-bet bluff there sometimes rather than calling, but when the 3-bet is versus such a short stack, you'd imagine it's just stronger most of the time, right?
Sar Wilf, pocket eights.
Likewise here, do you think, Finton? Like, you're just folding eights as well?
I would fold eights, but having watched Wilf play yesterday, he's not a man who likes to do too much folding, I don't think. I think it's a pretty good fold, as much as it pained him.
Anguished!
No, I have to fold the snowman.
Now, I know you have a rule that you want to be a law. You should never, ever fold Jack 10 suited, but in this spot, what have you got?
I guess you're just folding, right? Like, you're not doing too much opening off the short stack 16 bigs, so it's not like you have heaps of folds. You have almost everything in your range can defend. Jack 10 suited is probably one of those little cheeky ones you try to get through. I'll actually commend Malogno for opening, because as I say, it should be illegal to fold. There we go. A little bit of fighting spirit. Isn't it one of the most beautiful looking hands in the whole game, Jack 10 suited?
Behind.
Sadly, it looks like he is pretty dominated by Shemian.
If you were a poker hand, you would definitely be a Jack 2
And
offsuit.
that might spell disaster.
What is Shemian's other card? It's a mystery. It's a mini sweat with hand, I guess. We're playing this from Malogno's perspective to a certain degree.
We're almost certainly going to find out in a matter of moments.
Yeah, I don't think if you're going to peel that 3-bet, 11 big blinds behind, once you flop your Jack, it's probably time to dance.
What are we predicting? The ace of diamonds.
I would imagine so. Pre-flop, I would have been more likely to
An
say
open
Jacks, but
shove
of
from
course,
Malongo and a call very quickly.
So now we're going to see Shemian's other card, and it's higher than a 10 for sure. Ace Jack of diamonds.
We don't need a scanner.
Against Malogno's Jack 10, and it is Domination Nation.
the human card scanner Finton hand with the read.
What can I say?
How did you know?
Just a wild guess.
Nice queen.
So, Malogno looking for a 10, or of course, a running 8 and a queen. That won't help him at all. Just down to the 3 outs now.
Needs a 10 on the river. Nope. And so we lose Joaquin Malogno in 54th place, taking us down to 53 players in the EPT Monte Carlo main event. He cashes out for 13,600 euros. Ten, 4, 3. Top pair for Wilf.
Bulgaria. From Bulgaria with love, you don't know? From Bulgaria with love? I don't know.
Not an awful lot for Andre Akari, but he does have position and the betting lead. And he will continue. And again, out of the small blind, you'd expect Sar Wilf to have more hands like, well, I guess his broadways are jamming some of the time off this stack. But certainly going to be flatting some of them from time to time. So not a bad board for Andre to take a stab at. Of course, Sar Wilf has flop top pair and will be calling. The 10 on the turn is very interesting. Gives Andre Curry, sorry, the 7 on the turn very interesting. Gives Andre Curry a double gut shot. He can make a straight with either a 5 or a 9.
You would also expect that Wilf, at least some percentage of the time, is going to check raise, call off his decent 10s. I would be pretty tempted to check raise, call off the 10-8 on the flop, to be honest, against Akari. Player's going to make your life pretty difficult down the streets.
33,000 from Akari.
Pretty confident saying that if we just see a flat call here, Akari will be bluffing all in on a heart river.
And is that just, you think, Sir Wilf almost always raising flush draws on the flop? A lot harder for him to have one? Or just that Akari, once he gets here with 8 high, it's a natural bluff for him to fire heart rivers, right?
A bit of both. I think Wilf can still have some ace high flush draws.
Yep.
But a lot of people are happy to play first stacks, particularly when they have 2 overcards and a flush draw on the flop, right?
Wow, Akari is going to try and bluff this river.
He's been quiet so far, but quiet no more. 3 streets, there it is.
Trying to tell a consistent story. He raised pre, C-bet flop, barrel turn, bets river. Wilf counting out the call.
It's actually quite a small bet, isn't it? Looks like a bet designed to try and get a fold from something like 6-7, or as Vincent mentioned, just the ace high, ace X of hearts, or something like that. But also, Wilf might be thinking it's not a size that's going to be a bluff very often because he's given his opponent such a good price.
It's a very value-y bet.
I think it might come back to as well about the fact that you might expect someone to play a 10 faster on the flop, so he doesn't feel he needs to target a 10 to fold here.
Yeah, I think I would agree. Which means, with that said, Wilf, probably one of the strongest hands he's going to have if he has slow played a 10 to this point. Feels like he has to call it, and does, and it will be good to take this one down.
Bit of bad news for the fan favorite.
Andre Akari drops down to the 30 big blind mark. Sir Wilf up to 45 big blinds as day 3 draws to a close. And right now we have 3 former EPT champions in the top 10, Danchev, Antonius and Kitai. But the man at the top of the leaderboard is the guy who started day 3 as chip leader, David Peters, who's playing 1.8 million, a 183 big blind stack. Well, day 3's in the books, but the action continues on day 4 here from the PokerStars and Monte Carlo Casino EPT.